Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video. I'm about to head out from Northern California back down on my regular 500-mile return trip to Southern California. This is a Sunday following Thanksgiving, so I'm expecting to run into a lot of traffic, maybe more traffic than I ran into on my northbound trip on Thanksgiving Eve. There are a few chargers I want to check out along the way down. And I think I'm going to try to bypass the Bay Area as best as I can. Also, I'm going to try to bypass Interstate 5 going down into Los Angeles over the Tehachapi's. So I'm going to end up taking Highway 101. It's a slower route, usually by about an hour, but I should still be able to manage to get back down to Southern California by about midnight. We're after 11 o'clock at this point in the morning, so either way, it's going to be a very, very long trip. So hopefully I can dodge traffic and show some good chargers along the way and have a fun trip while I'm at it. Stick around. All right, so as we make our way back, I'm still sort of debating about which direction I'm going to go and what route. I know more or less the plan is to head down to the ChargePoint chargers at Santanella Village, but the thing is that's 207 miles, and a lot of that is freeway miles. So 207 is going to be pushing it at 70 to 75 miles an hour. So a lot of it is going to depend on what the conditions are, because we've been having a lot of wind as well in the valley, sometimes as high as 15 to 20 miles an hour. So that's sort of what I encountered as I was approaching north, and it was quite significant. So on the return trip, hopefully we don't have to deal with that, and I can just maybe coast down at normal efficiencies, at which point, because of the elevation loss and everything else, Santanella Village will be well within reach. All right, well, we're coming in the backside of Dunnigan here. So this is sort of the local road that would lead you to this Electrify America charger spot. Most people are only going to know it from the freeway on-ramp and off-ramp. Now, we are, we're down to, about 150 miles to go between here and the Santanella charger. So actually, I didn't even realize this in terms of spacing, but that's actually pretty good. It's a little bit far for the Bolt EV in terms of ideal distance between chargers, but it does mean that it's doable, right? So essentially, when this Electrify America charger comes online, say for my northbound trips, if I decide to take Interstate 5 north, well, I can stop in Santanella, and then this makes a very viable stop after it at about 150 miles away. So here we are, we're gonna pull in, and like I said, even if this site is up yet, which it's not going to be, I at least wanted to check out the progress. And we had some rain, so I don't know that I'm going to go drive around on the mud yet. But it does look like, most everything is installed at this point. I hope that's not the overflow. Whew. Yeah, so you can kind of see here, there's the netting. I don't know, actually, if you're even going to be able to see the chargers from here. Oh, well, not much of an update then. So I decided I'm actually going to try something a little bit different for this trip down. It's not that I don't think I can make it to Santanella on a single charge. In fact, I think I can, but I'm actually taking a detour that's going to end up taking me about 5 to 10 miles an hour, 5 to 10 miles farther out of the way. But some notifications went up that the Elk Grove Electrify America charger was up at this point. So I figured, you know what, I might as well try it. But this requires for me to go down Highway 99 and go a little bit out of the way. Alright. So someone hit a table and then they pulled off. Or you could just not hit the table, not pull off. Now, other than just the slow light getting out here, this already I can tell looks like a fairly good stop. I could actually see the Electrify America location from the freeway. Now, the thing is, though, I did also see a number of cars parked there, and this is the part that bothers me sometimes, is that these retail shopping locations, what you'll see is people with plug-in vehicles parking in electric vehicle parking spots simply because they have a plug-in vehicle. Doesn't matter whether they can actually use the charger. You know, you have all of these open parking spaces, and if you're a plug-in vehicle, you shouldn't be just parking in an electric vehicle parking location because it's 5 or 10 or 15 steps closer. So this is an issue that we're going to have to start dealing with. I mean, this is a perfect example right here, but this is someone who actually isn't even supposed to be parking anyway. The energy, they might be legitimate. I think they are, because they're there with a using the level 2. But we have other people who are parking here who aren't actually even driving an electric vehicle. So let's see if we can get this activated. Okay. 44 kilowatts. So luckily that guy was, he just moved now. I don't know if he saw me pulling in. I think you could have actually parked alongside him and accessed the other charger. But yeah, it's up and running. So Elk Grove, again, this is one of the neighborhood chargers, not really meant for traveling. But right now, with as many of the other 50 kilowatt chargers that are on travel corridors, this is as good as anything else. It's just a little bit pricier. Good stuff. Thank you, Electrify America. Whew. Okay, so I've already stayed a little bit too long here at this Electrify America. I'm about to shut down. I've already spent over $5 here, $5.31 at current, because we've stepped down to the 23 kilowatt charging rate. But the thing I wanted to note is that I've already seen a number of people walking by commenting about my car charging and looking at the chargers, looking at the interface. So this is a really big win, and I just wanted to call this out. It's worth the extra 40 or 50 or 60 cents it's going to cost me while I'm, before I shut down the charge. But this is doing exactly what Electrify America, I think, intended for it to do. It is making these chargers a lot more visible to a lot more people in locations that they're spending time already. So in addition to providing support for long distance travel, this is exposing an entire population to an option for travel that they might not have realized was there. But anyway, I'm burning daylight and I'm going to head out. So let's shut down the charge and let's head off. All right, so that was really cool. Even while I was pulling out. There were people who were checking out the chargers. And it's going to be on us as electric vehicle owners to sort of, talk to our neighbors and let them know that, hey, we're real people too. These are our transportation needs. One thing I would explain to anybody who is looking at this is these really are neighborhood chargers. These specific Electrify America chargers, and that part of it is the speed. That's why I ended up paying more than I would normally want to pay to charge here. But at the same time, it's this was something to just more verify that it was an option. Oh, wow. But otherwise, too, the other reason the fee was as high as it was is I was as high as I was in the battery. So I wouldn't normally use this charger in my southbound trips. If I were heading down this direction, down Highway 99, I would go farther down, probably Modesto, before I initiated my first charge. But the other thing is, though, northbound, this is actually a charger I would use. And so it's just nice to see that it's up and running, that it's functioning. We have sort of another data point. This is the second Electrify America charger that's gone online in California, but it is a slow charger. And ideally, we'll start getting the faster chargers online, and that's where I would personally prefer to use something like Dunnigan. But I still have to have a charger that gets me to Dunnigan, and right now, all of those are 50 kilowatt as well. So this charger is as good as any of them. We have close to 54 kilowatt hours of energy used now, approaching Santanella, and that's pretty high given my current state of battery degradation, right? So leaving with a full battery, it would make it it's a doable trip from my family in Northern California, where we are, down to here in one charge. So it is possible, but I don't know if it would be ideal. Now, like I said before, luckily for me, this isn't going to be my typical route southbound. So this is a much more ideally located charger for my northbound trips, and in that regard, I kind of like the spacing of it. But I've reviewed this charger before. I really don't like it in terms of its speed, though. In terms of, it's just a slow charger for these fast trips. And it's one thing if this was one of those chargers that was in place already. But this is a new one that's gone in, and with that, I think there really needed to be an effort to put faster chargers in. So ChargePoint, they're sticking with what they have and what they know, which are these 125 amp 50 kilowatt chargers. And I personally would prefer if people were doing more what Recargo is doing, where they're it looks like they're putting in the 100 amp chargers. So that would be my preference. So this charger has a fault error. I'm going to move to the other one. Alright, so we're at 18%. Alright, so we're already up to about 45% battery, maybe almost 50% battery at this point. And I'm only going to charge up to the point at which it cuts off. So I am going to wash the windshields and things like that, but I don't anticipate needing more than about 50% battery to make it up to the Prunedale shopping plaza, the Recargo there. we'll just sort of play it by ear, but I only anticipate being here about 5 to 10 more minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and plug some things in, get some batteries recharged, and wash off the windshield. All right, well, we just stepped down in charge rate, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. Swipe the... I actually have no clue how long I've been here. I've been doing stuff, so... All right, just under 30 minutes. That's not so bad. $8.25. All right. Thank you, ChargePoint. We're driving by Casa de Fruta right now. Speaking of Recargo, they are supposed to be putting chargers in here. I don't know how they'll be oriented relative to the Tesla superchargers, but I feel like it would be really nice to have them located next to each other. Recargo is a very amenable partner, it appears. Their primary mission really does appear to be promoting electric vehicle adoption. So if they can locate their chargers near Tesla supercharger sites, I think having Tesla owners recognize that there's a public charging option that's equivalent to the supercharger network, I think it's huge, and I think seeing a sort of commingling of electric vehicles, it's really big, because maybe it would actually also compel Tesla to say, let's stop making this us versus other EV automakers and start making it, us as charging providers working in conjunction with other public charging providers, because everybody benefits from that. So, and that's why I said, like, Recargo would be an amazing partner for someone like Tesla to have, just based on what I've seen so far. All right, well, I guess that's not necessarily an auspicious energy number, but yeah, we're actually, I think I might have added, at least another 50 to 60 miles to this trip rather than normal, but here we are at the Recargo station. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get us started. Now, one thing again is, for older Bolt EVs, you might need to hold up the charger handle. Make sure you're at the bump stop, and in theory, so here we go. 50-cent minimum. Yeah. 20. Okay, so let's go. So this should, in theory, reach from here. Yeah, it's kind of awkward holding a phone. So, just gonna put my card in. So it's authorizing. And so it's starting the charge, but I'm gonna have to hold the handle. Okay, I just heard it. All right, so now I'm not gonna hold the handle at all. Okay, so maybe I am gonna need to. All right. All right. I just wasn't holding the charger cord at the right angle. It's activated now and starting to charge. And it's activated. So yeah, it's not just the down, it's that these cords are short and they still have tension to here. So if you're in an older Bolt EV, pull the charger up and this way, and that will bring the weight off of the actuator, and it will be able to activate. So there you go. And yeah, straight up to 54 kilowatts. We're at about 30% battery, which makes sense. So I'm actually going to, and it's saying 42 minutes to 80%. Heck, I might as well just let it go to 82% or 80%. I think that might be about right. I'm gonna go grab some dinner. So based on what I can see, this site is very well lit with the LED lights. It looks like we're at 76% battery. So, I mean, I don't mind that I stayed a little bit longer. I was eating dinner. We're up to just over $9 and saying 3 minutes to 80%. You can actually manipulate these buttons too. You know, the view graph button here. So, showing the battery level, energy added. So we've been here, I don't know how long we've been here. We've been here 40 minutes and basically added 26 kilowatt hours. That's not great again, but we started at 30%. Had we started at 20, we actually would have been very close to the same battery level even at this point in time. So I can go here, view basic. Yeah. And like I said, I might actually just go to 80%. I'm not sure exactly. I think this should be more than enough to get us to San Luis Obispo. But like I said, at this point, I'm just sort of cruising, and I don't know what the weather is like. I mean, grand total, this has been a 40-minute stop so far, and I was able to eat dinner and get close to 80% battery. So overall, I'm quite pleased with this Recargo site. Like I said, the only quirk really is for those of you early Bolt EV owners. You are going to have to hold the handle gently and sort of pull it up and away from the charger location just to make sure it doesn't put too much weight on the actuator that's locking it into place. I mean, the pricing is really good too, even though, you know, I dipped into that lower end of the battery curve, which is not the most cost effective when you're being charged per unit of time. I mean, you might be able to hear now I turned the car on. I think the battery cooler is running. It's sort of conditioning the battery. I'm sort of dipping in and getting as much extra energy as I can out of this. And like I said, I've only spent $10 here. This isn't significantly more than what I spent at the ChargePoint charger just to get to 50% basically. So, had I done this over again, I would have probably only charged to 40% at the Santanella charger, but I couldn't have known that this was, the efficiency to get here exactly. So I was happier, getting that extra battery charge. Had that traffic not been there, I probably would have arrived with, closer to about, I don't know, maybe 20% battery or 15% battery. We're about to head out with 80% battery charge. I'm more than confident in my ability to make it to San Luis Obispo. We're burning daylight, but this session went fast, and it's hard for me to communicate just how much faster this is, because you won't go even from 30% battery to 80% on a 125 amp charger in 45 minutes. Not even close. And we haven't even hit the full 45-minute session yet. So this is a little different. They just give this full-on overview. So that's pretty cool. Yep, well lit, even at nighttime. Yeah, I'm digging this. This is really nice. Thanks, Recargo. Yeah, you could even have your taxes done here. This is quite interesting. Anyway, so here's the thing. Charging up here at the Recargo station, because of the current configuration of chargers at let me see. Because of the current configuration of chargers on Highway 101, you can't really charge to like the ideal amount, which would be 65 to 70% battery. You end up having to charge up to about 75 to 80% battery, and we'll see how close 80% battery is cutting it here. All right, well, we are in San Luis Obispo, and yeah, 80% was enough. Just grab the CCS. That's weird. Now it's asking to choose, but all right, let's see. Yeah, we should probably be 8% would be my guess, something like that. Yeah, we'll probably only be here for maybe 45 minutes. I'll probably go use one of the stores and then come back. All right, well, I'm getting ready to close out here in San Luis Obispo. I mean, we're 10 hours in and only 406 miles in, but basically the rest of this is just going to be driving. But I do want to get heading out soon, because it's going to be another 2 hours basically before I get back home, and that's not going to give me a whole lot of time to prep before I, to get ready for work tomorrow morning. But the one thing is that Bolt EV driver is still here, and like I said, I think as a community we need to, be very, very clear that that's not acceptable to simply block a charger. Luckily this is a two dual standard charger setup, but I mean, imagine if this was one of the single CHAdeMO and then one dual head charger. Well, he would effectively be blocking out this charger for over an hour and a half at this point, if you count both the amount of time that I've been here, plus the amount of time that that last session was done. And we don't have enough of these chargers available yet to even consider that type of behavior acceptable. One good thing about San Luis Obispo is within the next few months, we should actually have at least another 8 DC fast chargers in San Luis Obispo. Electrify America is putting a charger site in at the Pismo outlets. I don't know what the ETA on it is for that, but I'm guessing probably 3 to 4 months out. And Recargo is supposed to have had one open here in San Luis Obispo. It's supposed to be done by the end of the year, but I don't think that's reasonable either. I think probably by January would be a good guess of 2019. And that's for probably 100 kilowatt chargers. So San Luis Obispo is going to have at least 10 DC fast chargers, uh, public DC fast chargers with dual standard, uh, and I guess primarily CCS if you're considering the Electrify America chargers. So it's going to be a really safe, robust stop for EV drivers with a lot of different choices in charging. But we're not quite there yet. So on a holiday weekend, someone essentially blocking out one of the only 2 chargers we have in town for an hour and a half or more because they were probably charging before that session and they restarted. So yeah, it's not appropriate behavior. And I was sort of curious if it's still been charging them while they're gone, because sometimes it will just continue to run the clock. But no, it just ended it at 43. So that's unfortunate. I almost feel like EVgo should continue to charge if you're still hooked up, even if it's not charging. So we're at 67%. Yeah, that should be plenty to get home for now. If I have to ease up a little bit, I will. And plus, this way, if another EV comes, they can connect. Yeah, so it's just over 120 miles to get home. So I'm just gonna head out now. It's about 2 hours, but I might top up for about 10-15 minutes at my local charger before I call it a night. But yeah, that's just bad form. Don't block out the charger. That wasn't appropriate for that Bolt EV owner to do. Just like it wasn't appropriate for the Nissan Leaf owner to do on my trip north at the beginning of this week. So in either case, they look like 2 brand new electric vehicle owners, or relatively new. You know, the Nissan Leaf owner didn't even have new plates yet. So yeah, I'm just gonna chalk this up to just not knowing any better. All right, well, we didn't arrive home, but we're at basically my home charger here. I'm gonna put it up to about 25% or so. That's pretty much the safe amount for me to get into work in the morning. So without going overboard. I had just ticked down to the propulsion power reduced, so this might actually be about 4%. A little lower than I was planning, 3%, but yeah. All right, well, while I'm charging up so that I can make it into work tomorrow morning, I figured I'd do a little review of the trip. So for the Sunday following Thanksgiving, it actually went about as smoothly as I expected. Drove a little bit farther than I do normally because I wanted to check out a couple of chargers. As it turns out, those added about maybe 40 to 50 miles to my typical trip distance. And it added about 50 minutes to an hour to my total trip time. Now, had I known what I know now, I could have probably managed that portion of the trip a little bit better and maybe maybe saved myself 10, 20 minutes or something of that nature. As it is, it was a total of about 12 hours to go 527 miles. And, decent efficiency, 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. And that's really sort of to be expected for taking the more efficient routes that I took this trip. But that's also why my time was what it was, right? If you're on the freeway just doing 70 to 75 miles an hour the whole time, your efficiency is going to be lower, but the trip time is also going to be lower. But regardless, I think it went well. And I realized I sort of hit for the cycle. So I was able to charge successfully at a Electrify America site, a ChargePoint site, a Recargo site, and an EVgo site. Well, I guess a second EVgo site too, all in the same trip. Now, I didn't hit up a Green Lots or an EV Connect, but in terms of larger networks, I hit all, but I probably should have tested the green lots at the Sac International Airport. But like I said, this is the Sunday following Thanksgiving. I really don't want to get anywhere near an airport, even if it's just the visitor free parking lot. Overall, like I said, the trip went really, really well. Not all that different than the trip north the day before Thanksgiving. I don't know. I think right now some of the concern seems to be, will there be a surge of traffic during these periods that sort of overwhelms the public charging network? So far, I haven't really seen that. Maybe the closest instance to that was the Selma charger on my trip up. I haven't seen the network yet overwhelmed. And I think that's a good sign, but I know there are going to be more and more Bolt EVs sold. There are going to be more and more long range electric vehicles sold. And these highway corridors during travel periods could start to get crowded. So I fully recognize that that could happen. I just haven't seen it happen yet, at least not during peak travel times on the public charging network. And it's important to remember that that network is growing very, very rapidly. We're seeing a lot of Electrify America sites come online now. Recargo's sites are coming online for the CEC grant fund, so are ChargePoints. We still haven't heard much about EVgo's CEC funded sites. EV Connect is starting to make their CEC funded sites. So a lot of these chargers are going online, and then with Proposition 6 in California failing, it means that Caltrans 3030 program, where they're going to install 30 chargers at 30 different rest stops throughout the state, well, that should be going through as well. So really, we're seeing a huge amount of development, and I feel like at least for the next year or two, the public charging infrastructure is going to grow at a more rapid pace than new electric vehicle adoption. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you think. Any comments or things you've noticed about the trip, any questions you have. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me keep going on these videos and take the time to edit them and put them together. And thank you for watching. All right, I think I should be good. Now I have no excuse for not being able to make it into work in the morning. There you go, 20 minutes. There's always level 2.